introduce myself first, and everyone in the class should give a brief introduction after that. So I'm Savinder Rukshan. I'm working as a UI and UX designer for about 12 years now. So I worked at WSO2, NCS Singapore, and IBM projects as well. So that is my UX background. I do coding as well, the front-end coding. So I like everyone to introduce themselves with a brief introductions and what is the purpose of taking this UX course. You can send a message, or you can switch on your microphone and give a brief introduction. Let's start with Shamod.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, my name is Chamod Samarnayaka. I'm from Kandy, and I'm an undergraduate student. And I would like to step into UI and UX. So that's why I take this course.
Okay, thank you. Now, Fatima Sahana.
Hello.
Yeah,
Can
I
you hear
can hear.
me?
Yes.
My name is Shahana. I'm from Kandy. I have completed the high national diploma in IT. That's why I took this course. This will help me. I think this will help me to find a career in this path.
Okay, cool. Now let's go to Kalana.
Good morning, everybody. I am Kalana. I'm from Purnaru. Currently, I am working as a freelancer in UI and graphic design field. Also, I am 20. Also, it means I'm at A levels in last year. So I took this course because I need to go forward in the UI UX field. So I need qualifications. So that's why I'm selecting this course.
Okay, okay. Now, Madhushani?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Madhushani Gamage. I'm from Peliandala. So I'm working as an associate software engineer. And yeah.
Okay. So why are you taking this course?
I just want to do UX and UI designing. So yeah, that's the reason.
Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for your introduction. I warmly welcome everyone again to this course. The course actually take 5 weeks. The first 4 weeks I will do sessions regarding introduction, and then we do Figma practices as well as some design theories and so on. So this course is basically not a theory-based course, but we do practical projects in Figma and so on. So in the 4th week, I will give you an assignment. So in this assignment, you have to do a real world scenario by using design tools such as Figma and user research and so on, the things we learned in the program. So in the 5th week, I will give you feedback to everyone regarding their designs and how they can improve and so on. Is everything clear? Okay, let's move forward. So if I give you a brief introduction about today's session and the things that coming next weeks. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the UI and UX field. First, we are going to discuss about what is UI and UX. Then job roles we have in the UX industry and also UI. And the essential skills, technical or the designing skills you need to become a UX designer and how you can improve. And then we are going to discuss about how to think like a designer, how to solve designing problems and so on. And finally, I will guide you through how to create a designer portfolio, because UX design courses or anything, if you're applying for a UX position, the hiring managers, the first thing they will ask you to send them your portfolio. So if you have a sound portfolio, you will be able to get through the first step of the interview process. So having a good sound portfolio is really important. The second week, we are going to discuss UI designing with Figma. And third week, I will describe UX process, how to think like a UX designer, and so on. And finally, how to become a successful UX and UX designer in the fourth week. So let me share my screen. 1 second. I hope everyone can see my screen. So this is the course content. The introduction is the first week, as I discussed, and the UX, and finally UI design. And in the end, we will evaluate your project based on you learned on the course as well. So in the introduction, I'm first going to introduce you what is UI and UX, UX job roles, essential UX technical skills, and how to improve, as I discussed earlier. So what is UX? Let's get started. So UX is actually stands for user experience. It is actually how users interact with a product. The product can be either digital or a physical product. So for example, if you take a packet of chips, actually, if how easily you can open it and eat it easily. So that is a physical user experience. If you take a digital user experience, you can take a mobile application, for example, a banking application, how easily you can send money to someone. So those are the things that the UX designer should consider when he is doing design for a project, either physical or digital. So the process of enhancing the user satisfaction with the product by, in the UX, we have to enhance user satisfaction by using these three criterias: the usability of the application or a product, accessibility, and the pleasure. So provided in the interaction with the product. So if the product is usable and accessible, and it will give pleasure to the users, they will continuously use that application. They will come back to application like we use applications like Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So it give us easy access, usability, as well as pleasure when someone is liking our photo and so on. So those are the interactions that we consider when we are developing successful user experience in our products. So talking about usability, usability is a quality attribute that assesses how users interact with the system easily. So usability consists of these topics as well: learnability, efficiency, memorability, errors, and satisfaction. So learnability is something like how easy someone can learn your application. For example, if user download banking application for the first time, how easily without any guidance they can achieve their goals. Let's say their goal is to pay a mobile bill or something like that. How easily they can follow the steps and achieve their goals without any errors or any roadblocks. Efficiency. So the application or the product should be efficient in order to get give user a better experience. For example, if an application is fast and responding the way the user is expecting it to respond, we call it an efficient application. And the memorability is something that we call when if we take the same example as the paying a bill through a mobile application. So when the user follow this process in the first time, he will memorize, he will remember what are the steps he followed to do this. So the next time he don't have to worry about reading texts or anything. He can automatically follow the process through his memory. And errors. So we have to do error handling as well. For example, if it is a web interface where you have to input user data or something like that, you have seen it in multiple places. Like for example, contact form, we have to validate email address, mobile number. Otherwise, the users can input anything on this field. So that will lead to errors. Satisfaction is finally we call something like micro interactions, where users get feedback. Especially in mobile screens, you can get haptic feedback, and in designing visual screens, you can give them small animations and micro interactions where users get satisfactions. They know that something happened in the screen, successful message, and so on. So usability is a quality attribute, as I discussed in this application. So these are some day-to-day applications we use. I think all of you are familiar with these social media applications, and some of these are local applications for the electricity board, mobile service providers, banking applications, and ride-sharing apps. So all these and everything actually you do, even you interacting with a physical product, even a computer, mobile phone, everything comes under user experience. If you get a better user experience, you tend to use this product every day. So the second, we discuss this in detail now. So what is learnability? Learnability is how easy it for user to complete basic task in the first time. The users can quickly go from not knowing the system to getting some work done with it. So again, example for let's say Instagram application. You don't have to read a documentation or anything like that. It is straightforward. You go to the application, you sign up. They give an onboarding process where you have to put your username and password and so on. And then you know that this is an application you can post your pictures. So that is the learnability. So application should provide that. So users don't have to do their own research to understand what application is doing. Here I have added e-wallet application. This is the onboarding process. It describes you can add all accounts and manage, track your activity, and make online payments. I think you have seen almost all the applications have this onboarding process where they describe what the application can do. So it is easier for users to understand in the first time what he can achieve by using this application. So these are actually some tool tips used in the Google Sheets actually. So they use tool tips to give information about what the users can do and what these buttons are about and so on. It will give them better learnability through the application interface. So efficiency is once users have learned the design, how quickly they can perform tasks. So for the first time, they learn the process, and then efficiency should be there for them to achieve their goals faster. Memorability is something when users return to the designing after a period of not using it. How easily can they redo the task? So as I mentioned earlier, they memorize. Let's take, for example, a physical product. You driving a car for some time, and after 1 year or so, you won't be able to drive a car. Like you don't have a car, or you have came into some problem. So anything after 1 year, you can still drive a car because you have like a physical memory and you know how to do it. So even in the application or mobile application or a digital or a physical product, it should be there. So if users memorize something, you don't have to change the process. It should be there so users can start from where they left the application and redo the tasks easily. In here, we mentioned about errors. So how many errors do users make and how easily can they recover from the errors? So in error handling, even in the software like development or a front-end application, we do error handling because we need to give users what went during their interactions with the screen. So it is always a good practice to give better error handling and handle errors that users don't do it repeatedly. For example, in the mobile applications we develop, we always tend to put trackers such as Hotjar or a screen recording applications where we can understand these errors and the bottlenecks users face during the application user flow process. So the developers or a design team can then refer to these recordings and understand what are the improvements we can make in the user flows and so on. So it will streamline the application process for users to achieve their goals easily. Oh, I received a message saying someone is in the waiting room. Let's see. Okay, is everyone here now? Shamod is just joined, I think. He was here in the beginning. Something happened.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chamod, if you miss any part, you can contact me. I will go through this again.
Okay.
Okay. The satisfaction part, finally, how pleasant is to use the design. Users are subjectively satisfied by using the system. So a better user experience comes with the satisfaction as well. If you give them a pop-up or a like interactive layout or a successful message with micro interactions or animations, it will like give them a feeling that they have achieved something through the system. For example, when we upload a picture to Facebook or Instagram, it will show a successful message. This is uploaded successfully and so on. So we always have to notify the users what they have achieved, and it will kind of like a feedback. So they get satisfied with the feedback, and they will look for that same satisfaction every time they use the application. So here are some designs that let know users what is happening with the system. So in here, if you delete the this entry, it will show that 3 seconds remaining to delete the chat, and they can undo it if they want. And also here, they can still undo the deleted ones, and we get the confirmation from them to delete whatever the record. It can be delete or edit or anything. Here is what I told you about the uploading process. We can give them a screen with the what is happening in the background of the server by giving them a message called uploading or processing and so on. So here is accessibility. So accessibility is another important part in UX design. We have to design the system not only for users like us, but for the users with visual, motor impairment, hearing impairment, and so on. So for that purpose, actually there are accessibility guidelines you can follow. So if you Google accessibility guidelines, it will guide you to European Union's accessibility guidelines, and there are American accessibility guidelines for visually impaired and motor impaired people and so on. So if you are doing a proper like 100% user-friendly mobile application or any product, you should follow these accessibility guidelines as well in order to make your system accessible to everyone. So these are the principles of visual accessibility. Visual accessibility means that what you can see in the screen. So number one is pay close attention to colors and color contrast. So if you take, for example, if you take a button and if it doesn't give you any contrast with the background color and the text, the readability and the accessibility of the application is failed actually. So if you when you do the design, you have to give attention to your colors, the colors you choose, and make sure you have chosen a contrasting colors for the backgrounds and the foreground texts and so on. And the second one is the typography, font size, and weights. So for the if you follow a text hierarchy, for example, headings, paragraph text, and tooltips and so on, you have to follow the text hierarchy. For example, you have to give headlines a bigger size text, and the content, the body, the smaller size texts, and so on. So you can give them different weights to improve the readability and accessibility of the application as well. And the third one is turn your article into audio. So most of the visually impaired people, some of them might not be able to read your screen text. So you have to convert it to an audio where they can read, like listen to it and understand what is going on in the application. And do not forget about screen readers. Most of the applications, for example, most of the operating systems, Windows, Mac OS, and so on, they have screen readers. Even your mobile phones, they have screen readers. So if you put like describing text to every development or everything you design or develop in the screen, it will easier for screen readers to read these for users and make them easier to understand what is going on without even looking at the screen. Be specific with your alt text. So alternative text, especially for the images or media, for example, images, video or anything, when you're putting a video or an image, you always have to make sure that you put alternative text. So which is the alt text. So otherwise, if the image or a video doesn't load, let's see if there is server error, if user have connectivity problems where they can't connect to the server. So we will show them the alternative text rather than show them a broken image. So it will improve the accessibility of our application. So these are some form field. In here, in the caption, I have mentioned the form field design relies only on red and green to indicate fields with and without error. Colorblind users cannot differentiate the fields highlighted in red. So you have to make sure that you have to check your application for usability and make the color, the red color, more contrasting rather than using the same red color. Or you can either put a label or for screen readers to pick up what went wrong. I'm sorry. Here we give them a like error message. Please enter a valid email icon with icons and so on. So it is also easier for a colorblind or a visually impaired person to understand what is going on by checking this icon rather than reading the error message. This is an article with audio. So it has an audio transcript where users can play the article and listen to it rather than reading the screen. And this is the color contrast I told about in the first point of this accessibility. So this text, it is hardly readable because the contrast between two colors are very low. So you have to make sure the color contrast ratio is up to the legible standard, and users can read it easily without much effort. And finally, low contrast text is hard to read on desktop as well, but it comes even more difficult on mobile. Imagine trying to read low contrast text on a mobile device while walking in bright sunlight. Yet again, it is a good reminder that accessible visual design is better visual design for all users. So I will take one example. I develop application for one of my clients called Prima. So they have a Salesforce management application where all of their users are using this application outside of the office premises. So they have to travel and put orders and do calculation outside. So this application have to work outdoor rather than in indoor. So we have to find answers for the contrast and the brightness. And what we came up with we came up with a dark design where we use very contrasting, like black for the background and the white for the foreground text and icons. So users can read the screen and do their interactions easily without trying to go inside or trying to find a place there where they can see their screens easily. And in here, we have a shopping site without any information. They just put an image and have the sizes and so on. When comparing to this one below, it has all the information, the product details, product code, size and fit, because the visually impaired people won't be able to see the colors or actual design of the product. But when we give this descriptive text, they can read it through a screen reader or anything and get an idea about what this product is all about, if either they want it or not. Here's the alternative text I mentioned about for a media, especially for image. If you put alternative text, it can be easily read through screen readers and search engines. So in SEO, if you put alternative text to your images, it will give you better ranking in Google rather than the ones that they don't have alternative texts. And we can eliminate broken images. So if we don't put alternative text, it will show as a broken image. But if you put alternative text, even if the image link is broken, that screen will display your alternative text in the screen. So here are some text like memos we can use in iMessage and so on, and Siri, voice assistants. So in here, this is actually for hearing impaired people. So they can use this transcript to read screens. And so they can't hear. They can use a screen and see what is the presenter is presenting, and they can follow the closed captions and understand what is this video is about or any content that is providing. Here is a basic website accessibility checklist you have to follow when you are doing a design. If you Google website accessibility checklist or a mobile accessibility checklist, it will give you a standard procedure that you can follow when you are launching a product or doing any project for a client. So number one, as I mentioned, they provide alternative text for non-text content. So every media element or any canvas, especially with HTML5, so you have to give alternative text, and you have to add captions or subtitles to videos and audio content. This is helpful for visually impaired people, and make content distinguishable with the help of colors and contrast. It will help visually impaired people to like distinguish between different areas of the screen and different buttons. And fourth one, ensure audio video volume control as well as mechanism to stop or pause audio or video. So for example, if you give user an interface uh, with the sound is automatically on, and they won't be able to, they don't have any controls to stop or mute or reduce the volume, it will give them a bad user experience. They will quickly close the window and they will never come back to that screen again, because we are not giving them what is happening in the screen, and we are not giving them control to reduce volume or do whatever they want. Most of the guidelines are recommend you to not to put a volume on web pages or anything like that, because it is some users may use it in a library or different scenario in office. So always make sure make the audio or video volume muted, and also ask them for their permission to autoplay it if they want. So number 5, make all functionality available from a keyboard. Yes. Now, for example, if you have a banking application or anything like that, you have to make sure that, for example, let's say the touch screen or a mouse, it doesn't work. You have to give them an option to navigate all these functions through a keyboard as well. So it will make their life easier, and it will help for a better accessibility as well. Give users enough time to read and use the content, no time limits. So don't put like time. Yeah, you have to make sure that you give enough time for users to achieve their task without giving them any time blockers or anything like that. Next one, the make text content readable and understandable. As I mentioned earlier, the screen readers or transcripts, they should be able to read the content, and what they're reading should be understandable as well. So if you are putting so much images or a content, you have to describe them as well. Provide ways to help users navigate, find content, and determine where they are. So you always have to make sure that you give a message for the users to understand where they are, especially let's see we are in this screen. So we highlighted the programs part here. So the users know that they are in a program screen. Let's go back to the home page. It will highlight the home. So you have to always make sure in the navigation or anything, even in a mobile application or a desktop application, you have to make sure you give users understanding about where they are. And the next one is make pages operate in a predictable way. So let's say we all know that the users expect website to behave in a certain way. So for example, let's see, they click on these icons in the navigation, click on these menu items in the navigation, they expect a different page to load. So you have to show them a loading screen or something, and you always have to make sure you have to deliver a predictable content for their interaction. For example, if they click a delete button, if they click a close icon, X icon, you should close the window and so on. So there are standards that user experience designers follow. You also have to implement those standards to your system. Otherwise, the users will have less accessibility and accessibility issues when they are using your application. Help users avoid and correct mistakes. So if you give them like notifications regarding the mistakes they make when interacting with the form or anything, it will help them to avoid those mistakes. For example, let's say in the let's take a form. For example, in the form, let's in a form element, let's say they have a field for a email address. So you can, in the front end, you can validate the email address to make sure that they are inputting an email address only with that and the domain and so on. So you can use regex for that as well, and there are libraries you can use to validate as well. So in the front end, you can use that, and correct mistakes like you can ask them to when they are typing in the real time, you can ask them to type it in a proper way. So if they miss their @ sign, or if they miss their dot sign in their email address, you can let them know straight away rather than waiting for them to submit the document. You can let them know straight away and make it a better accessible application or interaction. So the next one, ensure compatibility with assistive technologies, I'm sorry. So it has to be enabled for screen readers or anything to read, or for example, the visually impaired people use screen readers, and the system you are developing, the content you are using has to be accessible for every users. So that should be there. So these are closed captions. So in the closed captions, actually the features on the left-hand side, I have mentioned the language usually matches audio, turning the on and off at will, include background and sound descriptions. So in the subtitles, we don't have those two. Language usually matches audio and includes background, sound descriptions, and so on. And in the closed captions, especially if you, when we are watching a YouTube video or even a video on Netflix, we can turn on closed captions and follow the video even we can't hear it properly. So in the open captions, we have these two. Language usually matches audio and include background sound descriptions, but it doesn't provide turning them and off at will. So because those are like hard subbed and so on. So we have to ensure if we are using a video or anything, any media, streamable media, closed captions is a good thing to improve accessibility. And another thing is localization. So you design a website for a European customer, let's say. So you have to make sure you give localization access by giving them translations, like different versions in different languages, such as Spanish, Italian, German, and so on. So you have to make sure you think about that localization when you are do the designing as well. Especially, let's say that you have to do a design for a Middle East based customer. So their font is right to left. So you have to make sure that you make the proper adjustments even in the design to accommodate those right to left text as well. Normal text is left to right. Hebrew, Arabic, and everything is right to left. So you have to make sure you address those issues as well. And finally, you have to make those responsive. So you can, even in the design, when you're using design tools such as Figma or SketchUp or even Adobe XD, you can design different versions, or you can use Flex or frames to create your design responsive in Figma actually. And when the coding is happen, it will be easier for the coders or the developers to follow those screens and do their screens easily. They can actually use responsive frameworks such as Tailwind, Bootstrap, and so on. But as a designer, it is your duty to give them mobile version, tablet version, and the desktop version separately, so they know how to place the screen, and it will give users a better user experience rather than give the developer to decide where they can make it responsive. It is your duty to give them the responsive screens for all different sizes of the screen. So it should work on mobile as so this user it should work on mobile as well as tab or any application without any issue. Once again, so these are some applications. So let's say if you are using, let's take one application for example. So if you take application, the dialogue application, I found it like very hard to use. For example, if you want to pay a bill if you want to like get a one like change the package or anything, it is first place it is really slow and it is really hard to navigate through those screens, and it don't give better user experience. On the other hand, the application like Uber, it is really straightforward, so you can easily achieve what you want to do, rather than going through all these applications features or waiting for it to respond for a long time. So you always have to make sure you have better user experience for users, for them to come back and work on your application. Here, I describe the difference between UX and UI. Okay, let's stop for a minute. And do you have any questions? You can have, if you have any questions, you can send me a message through chat, or you can switch on your microphone and ask up until now. Okay, let's move forward then. So in here, I have mentioned what is UX and UI and how we can differentiate them from each other. So in UX, we talk about UX strategy, UX research, user research, information architecture, and testing. So I get a chat message. Let's see. If a client requires a design without accessibility or learnability, how we can manage that kind of a situation? So the first, okay, let's answer this question first then. So if a client requires a design without accessibility or learnability, so as a UX designer, it is your duty to let them know that we have to design the application for every user. So the first thing in the user research, you have to uh, research and identify what are the target users of this application. So if it is not visually impaired or people don't require accessibility guidelines, even if in that case, it is always a good practice to follow accessibility guidelines, because you don't know that who are most of the target users, we can't interview them or we can't follow them what they are doing. We only get to know by getting their feedback later. So you have to convince them to use accessibility guidelines. It is actually don't take that much of a time. If you are do a design on a Figma or any other design file, you can simply put a URL and get the accessibility score. I will send you the URL for that test site. So it won't take that long. It is always a good practice to include everyone for your user experience, rather than doing the changes later. So you have to convince your client that we should design the system to everyone. Is that clear? Okay. So adding to that, actually, most of the client, they just want to do the design without taking much time. So it is your duty for them to understand them, that the design takes time and you have to take some time to do the user research and let them know the importance of user research, because if the users don't use your application after you design, after you spend so much of money, so that won't worth even your effort or your time or your money. So to address all these, you have to do the user research and you have to follow these accessibility and usability guidelines in order to come up with a better usable design. So UI and UX, UX strategy, user research, information architecture, and testing in UX. And UI, we talk about color theory or color psychology, and the typography, design patterns, interactivity, and animation. And we call that UX and UI is actually UI is the look of the application, and UX is how you feel. So in between these things, we have empathy, collaboration, design thinking, and prototyping. So UX strategy is the how you, what are the steps you follow, what are the questions you are trying to answer by using this application or this design. That is UX strategy. And user research is where you have to get thorough understanding about your users, your end users, and what are the problems they are facing, that what are the goals that they are trying to achieve by using your application. So you have to research those as well. Information architecture is actually the hierarchy of data or the hierarchy of elements that you should represent in your screen. So it will give better user experience for users as well. And finally, the testing is really important, because if you don't test an application and ship it or make it live, the users will test the application and let us know the feedback. We don't need that to happen. So we have to test our application thoroughly before we ship it in different scenarios by using different user stories, user flows, and so on. We will discuss them later. And color theory, as you know, that every color we use in user experience or a user interface design has a meaning. For example, let's take Facebook blue or a LinkedIn blue color. It has some emotions attached to it. Even in the Instagram, it has emotions attached to it. So you have to select a certain color to match your audience and the message you want to give and the task you want them to achieve using your application. And the typography, you have to match typography. If you're using like two typefaces, you have to match your headline text with the body text and so on. And you have to make sure you use better typography for the application. Let's say you developing an application for healthcare, and you are developing an application for like fun activities like movies and so on. So you have to make sure uh, you do the user research and come up with the design, the typography that the most users are uh, comfortable with. So that should be there. And the design patterns. So design patterns, even in the coding or user experience, you have to follow the similar design patterns. You have to maintain consistency, and you have to uh, give users the consistent screens because they won't have time to like go through all the screens and compare them. So it is always better to use similar and consistent design throughout the system. And finally, interactivity and animation. This also falls under UI. You can give them interactive and animation, especially when we discuss the loading animation and the photo uploading animation and so on. So it will give them the interactivity through to the screen, even when they are not doing anything with the screen. while uploading. If they looking at the screen, they can see how much is the percentage, and if you can put an animation, so it will give them better user experience by using UI. So empathy. So in order to do a better design, after user research, we have to do like different personas. We have to understand different users of this system. So that way you can empathize with users first rather than doing the design straight away. So if you empathize them with them really well, you will give them a better design solution rather than you have to redo the design. So the collaboration is also important. Collaboration means that you have to collaborate with your fellow designers and the developers as well as product owners and everyone. You always have to make sure you communicate with them really well and collaborate for the success of the project. And design thinking, so you have to make sure that you have problem solving skills and the think like a designer. So think like designer is actually you have to think in a user centric way. You have to think as how the users will interact this system. You have to always make sure that users will achieve their task easily rather than for example, let's say that most of the designers or developers are tech savvy, like they know their workaround in application or anything. But most of the users use these applications, especially the elder generation, they don't have much technology like tech literature. So you have to make sure that you cover every one of these and make your user flows streamlined by using design thinking and problem solving skills you develop. And finally, the prototyping. So in the prototyping, so let's take a project. Now you get a chance to interview a client and some users of the product. And the first thing you need to do is you have to do the thorough research about the product, the competitors, and the user scenarios, and so on. And then you come up with a wireframe. So wireframe is you can use like pencil and paper to do the wireframe. It is a rough layout of the design. So in here, we just put the hierarchy of the design and so on, and the information architecture. And then we send it to feedback from users as well as stakeholders of the project. And then the prototyping takes place. The prototyping, we can do it, actually it has two main prototype types. One is low fidelity and the second one is high fidelity. In low fidelity prototype, you just convert those wireframes you designed to a prototype, but without much detail. You just copy the places and copy the elements as it used to be in the wireframe, and you again present it to for the feedback. So the feedback is really important because otherwise you will end up with a design that users don't like. So in the end, after some feedback, after some modifications and anything, we fine tune our prototype and finally produce high fidelity prototype where we present to developers to develop their system. So that is, we will discuss more in detail later on that as well. So those are UX and UI, how they can differentiate and similarities between those. Here, UX strategy is used to create an understanding between designers and the goal of the business product and feature. More specifically, it is a document of guidelines and rules that outline how the design team aims to achieve the organization's product and objectives. UX strategy is a process that should be started first before the design or development of a digital product begins. So you always have to make sure you understand the project owners or a company's goals as well as users. The UX designer's duty is to match these product owners or a company's goals with the user's goals. So you have to make sure you have that in mind when you are do the strategy and when we are doing the design. So this is the UX strategy process. So you have to understand your users first. You need to understand who your users are. and what market fit your product has. So you have to do a user research and market research and well as a competitor research to understand these things. The second one, understand your value. You need to understand your product's value. After understanding users or a domain, the product fit, you have to understand what are the main values that we are trying to provide through this application. So what are the competitive advantages we have when comparing to other competitors of our application. So you have to understand your values. Then know how to solve the problem. You need to understand how your product actually solves those key problems. So in the research, user research and market research, you identify problems with the competitor applications or whatever the applications that users are using to accomplish the similar task they are facing. You can analyze this by reading user reviews in Google Play Store or Apple App Store, or there are review websites you can follow to understand what users are facing, what issues we can eliminate to provide better user experience. So you have to know how to solve the problem that users facing currently. And also you have to have a clear vision. You need to know where you are going. Having a clear vision helps you work on what's the most valuable. So having a clear vision, actually, when you're working in a software environment, you always have to get the big picture of the application. We use, especially if you are a follower of Agile, if you know about Agile or design sprints or anything, the first thing we do is we get everyone's input and do a like mind map or something similar to mind map. So those diagrams help us to keep clear vision during the process, even when we are shipping the project successfully. So everyone in the team know what the visions are, what everyone's vision is, and where everyone is focusing on, and so on. So that is also really important. Continuous feedback and iteration. Again, in most of the design teams and design projects, the project management methodology you have to follow is Agile. And even the sprint is part of an Agile. So you have to do continuous feedback and iteration. So you need to have constant feedback through data and customer interaction to continuously iterate and improve. So as I said earlier, when we do the wireframes, we send them for users to give their feedback. Even the stakeholders or clients give their feedback. So in that way, we can fine tune our design before we launch it. So it is somewhat like taking some time from designers, but it is worth it because rather than shipping a product that don't have much user experience or without understanding user, if we streamline it during the design process, it will helpful for you as a designer as well as your team, clients, and users as well. So next one is user research. User research is used to understand the user's needs, behaviors, experience, and motivations through various qualitative and quantitative methods to inform process of solving for users' problems. So user research, as I mentioned earlier, is where we understand users' needs, behaviors, the problems they are facing, the motivations to follow your application. And we use different qualitative and quantitative methods. The qualitative method, we send them questionnaires about with Likert scale, where they can scale from 1 to 5, how strongly they agree or disagree with certain criteria and so on. So that is the way we do qualitative method. And in the quantitative method, we can do like screen recordings and get the users time they spend on different tasks and how we can improve the time altogether and so on. So we can use the same research methods to understand and solve users' problems. So UX research helps to find out problems users have with the interface, and also find out users' problems and needs, create valuable and useful designs, identify early adopters. So most of the designs for, let's say, if we launch a product and ship it, we call the first people that download the application and use it and give us feedback, we call them early adopters. So the early adopters are really important to understand them, because they are the ones who send a message about your application to the world. Because if they don't like it, they will criticize your application, especially with the internet. They will criticize in social media and everywhere. So no one will download your application again. So you have to keep in mind those early adopters as well. And then analyze the market to check if your product fits the niche. So before launching your application, you have to make sure that your application fits the market. Let's say you develop a fully autonomous application for something like ride sharing, fully autonomous application. But most of the users in Sri Lanka don't want that. Let's say for as an instance. So you have to make sure you give them some control and make sure your application fits the users and the market before you launching it. So, and another example I can tell you is you launching an application during special situation, let's say a pandemic, like we experienced. So you have to make sure if it fits the market and the situation in the market before you launching the application. And then learn about competitors' products. So the first base, the user research and the competitor research, you have to understand what are your competitors, and you have to actually download those applications and go through those applications and understand what are the things that we can get to our applications to a better user experience, and what are the things we can avoid, and so on. And then validate your business ideas and hypotheses. So you have to create different stories, like user stories and scenarios, where you can test your application based on different scenarios, based on different hypotheses, and understand and validate your product idea and business goals with the user's experience. And finally, measure the return on investment, ROI, for your UX design. So if you're spending so much money and you don't get anything in return after doing your research and after launching your design, we are not consider it as a like good UX design. So you also have to make sure you achieve the clients and stakeholders in goals by giving them better return on investment as well. So the final one in here is ensure proper navigation and trouble-free user experience. So you have to make sure that you give idea for users about where they are, and you make sure that you have to give them a trouble-free user experience, especially without server downtimes, and so on. So that is also part of a user experience, because the users trying to experience your application and they get a server error. So that is also a bad user experience, even though if it is from a backend or a server. So you have to make sure you try to address those from your design as well. Either you give them a message saying the proper message saying that our servers are busy and we are working on, and so on, like that. So you always have to make sure you notify your users in whatever the screen they are, whatever the situation they are facing in the screen. Here, information architecture, IA, is like a blueprint, a visual representation of a product, infrastructure, features, and hierarchy. The level of detail is up to the designer. So IA may also include navigation, application functions and behaviors, content and flows. There is no set limit to the size of a shape of IA. So let's say now as a UX designer, you start your career as a UX designer and UI or a UX designer, and you get some experience after 2-3 years, and you have a proper understanding about the information architecture, how the system work, how the visual representation should be, and features and so on. So in that case, you can conduct those research and give them a blueprint, give the designers or developers a blueprint on how the elements should be, how the user behaviors, expected user behavior should be, and so on. So you can create multiple blueprints or information architectures for your product, because there's no limit. It is depending on the application you are designing. Give me a minute. Okay, this is actually a hierarchy of a design. So we start from here. This is a user flow diagram. So we start onboarding from here, and then we give them Facebook login, register with SMS or a Google login options. If they able to register with SMS, we send them a verification code and create a profile. Facebook login, straightly create a profile, and even the Google login, create a profile. And onboarding, we decline location access. We require location access. So in the end, we show them the home screen, and there are other screens, treasure, nearby players, messages, and these are the other screens that application has. So it is information architecture's duty to come up with a like this kind of a diagram. We call it a finite diagram or user flow diagram or anything. It is his duty to think about all these, the functions, behaviors, content, contexts, and so on, and come up with a better user flow diagram to and provide it for designers or developers. It will help. It can be a multiple user flow diagrams for different scenarios, but it has to start with the onboarding process and end with when the time users achieve their end goal. UX is everywhere. The bad UX everywhere. For example, let's say here, the cycle path is closed from here. That it is actually a physical UX issue. So if you are a designer, I think most of you are product designers, the digital product designers. So in here, I have put an application, the physical issue that the designers had to face. In here also, I have added another image. In here also, these all are user experience issues that the designers have had to address. In Sri Lanka, when we say a product designer, we think of a digital product designer most of the time. But in US or any other countries, especially in Europe or other countries, we have to address physical design issues as well. So that is why I have added this. So in here also, we don't need most of these buttons. So better user experience can provide with less number of buttons as well. In here, the flow numbering is not good. And then here also, it doesn't think about who the users are, and it came into problems here also. So now we are talking about UX job roles. Up until now, is everything clear for everyone? If you have any questions, you can send in the chat. Okay, these are some of the UX job roles: UX designer, UI designer, and UI and UX designer. If you are like comfortable with visual design as well as UX research, you can be a UI UX designer and UX manager, UX researcher, UX writer, UX architect, product designer, product manager, product owner, UI UX engineer, and more. So if you're starting your career as a UX in the UX industry, you should start as a UX designer or a UI designer. And moving on with the experience, you can be a UI UX designer and UX manager and more like managerial and owner roles, or become an engineer with an experience. So let's so if we go to this website here, it shows like if you start as a UX designer, you can be a senior UX designer, and senior after that you can become the lead designer, UX manager, and so on. It comes with the experience actually. So these are some job roles in the market currently. You can access this by site for different UX roles. You can follow. Even if you do a quick Google research about UX jobs by selecting your country, it will show up what are the UX roles that are available, and you can improve your design skills based on those job roles. These are some essential UI UX technical skills and how we can improve. So in order to become a better UI designer, you have to improve your graphic designing skills, vector and raster. So vector and raster skills, for example, if you are a good illustrator and if you're good in Photoshop and so on, so that means that you have a good knowledge in graphic designing. And UI designing is something different. It is like if you are a good graphic designer, that doesn't mean you are a good UI designer, because you have to think in user's perspective rather than doing your graphic design by yourself. So graphic designing will help, but you have to learn UI designing in a user's perspective as well. And if you have a UI designing and motion graphics special background, you can give better user micro interactions by using softwares like Adobe After Effects and so on. And video and audio editing skills is also important, because sometimes you might be the only one in the team that is a designer. So you have to play all the designing roles, all the multimedia designing, especially the designing and using Photoshop and advertising using video. So all those skills will be important if you are looking for that kind of opportunity. So, and then UX skills, as I mentioned earlier, the UX, the research, the information architecture and everything will be important if you are looking for UX skills. And development skills is also really important, because most of the companies now looking for designers who can code as well. So you actually need to at least have HTML, CSS, JS, or at least one framework like React, Angular, or Vue.js. It is really important, and it will give you competitive advantage when comparing to other designers when you apply for a job. And soft skills also, and the communication skills and presentation skills and collaboration and so on. It is also really important if you want to play a major role in your team and communicate and interact with other fellow designers or developers or managers and so on. So these are the workplace skills I discussed: collaboration, communication, and presentation. Prioritization and time management is also important, because most of the project we work in industry, those have tight deadlines. So you always have to make sure you prioritize the important tasks and put less effort to that tasks that don't need much attention. So time management and prioritization and project management skills are also necessary if you want to be a good UX designer. And in order to think like a UX designer, you have to understand that UX is everywhere. So even if you're driving a car, you experience what you experience is user experience. Even if you take a lift or anything you interact in day-to-day life, when you're using a phone, laptop or anything, it comes with a user experience. So you have to understand, so what are the issues I'm facing, what will be the issues users will be facing, how we can streamline this product for users not to face that much of issues, how we can come up with the better solutions. So you can think of that when you are interacting with day-to-day elements. And then identify good and bad user experience. So it is helpful for you as a UX career. So you can, if you can understand the better user experience from the applications, the digital applications you are using or a physical applications you are using, it is helpful for you to come up with better design solutions next time when you are working on a project. So you have to make it a practice to understand what are the good user experience and keep that in mind, and what are the bad experience, how we can avoid them, how we can eliminate them in our designs and so on. And you always have to improve, because UX and the UI, the design standards and design trends are changing daily. So you always make sure you read the up-to-date content and follow up-to-date guidelines and follow design trends and follow the right people. Especially in YouTube, there are good UX designers and who work with top 500 companies. So if you follow them and listen to them, what they are saying, what are the projects they are working on, and even if you follow the platforms like Dribble, Behance, and even the awards.com, you can follow, like you can see what other designers are doing, what are the trends. So it is always good to keep up to date with other designers as well. And finally, you have to come up with a solution by thinking like a UX designer, and you have to follow the criteria as I mentioned, the user research and design thinking process, and come up with your solution. Here we are talking about what is UX portfolio and how to build one. So is anyone of you have a UX portfolio currently? So actually, if you have done any capstone projects or any projects during your university time or even a client project, you can put those screenshots or graphical phases in sites like Dribble, Behance, and even Flickr. Dribble and Behance is actually for the product design. So you can put your best work there, and when you are applying for a job, you can send them your portfolio link for them to follow and get an understanding about your design skills and so on. So when I do a design, or when our team do a design, we always go to these websites like Dribble and Behance to get an understanding and get a motivation about how others do the design, and get the plus points from those designs and use them in ours as well. And it helps us to get up to date with the current design trends and what other co-designers will do when addressing similar issues. So I invite you to do the same thing, either by Google search or a Dribble or Behance, and follow the competitive advantage, like competitive products that you need to follow. So do you have any questions? You can ask now if you have any questions regarding the presentation or any other UX or career. Chamo, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
You can ask like anything regarding the presentation or any career question you have. You can send me a message through the Zoom chat if you are not able to ask through the microphone.
Okay, sir.
Okay, how about Fatima?
No, sir.
Okay, Kalana?
No, sir. Okay.
Okay, Madhushani?
No, sir.
Okay. So what do you think about the presentation? Is it too fast? Do I need to like describe a little bit more? You can give the feedback as well. Okay, you can send a message on Zoom chat or even WhatsApp chat if you have any concerns. Do everyone here, do everyone have Figma accounts?
Yeah, I have Figma.
Okay. Okay. So I hope everyone have Figma accounts. If someone don't have Figma account, okay, Fatima and Chamo, they told that they don't have Figma accounts. Can you quickly sign up for a Figma account? Because after 10 minutes break, we are going to do something on Figma, like team design.
Sir,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have a small question.
Yeah.
So, what are the things should include in our portfolio?
Yeah, portfolio. Let me show you an example. You can still see my screen, right? Okay. Yeah. Let me show my portfolio first. In here, we have to include the brief introduction about ourselves, and then the most important thing is we have to put projects that we worked on. So in project section, I have added here. You have to mention what is the project is about and what is the role you play. Time frame is not that important, but if you put it, it will be great. And brief description, and then how you approach to solve this problem. You can like put images and how you achieve the project success, and this how you solve the problem. So this is the problem that we are trying to address, and this is the process we followed, and the research, insights, the competitor analysis, the wireframes, low fidelity prototypes, and everything should be there. And finally, the code, the final product. And if it is a live product, you can give them a link to interact with. So that is what should include in the portfolio. If you're a starting designer, you can just put a like Dribble or Behance profile and put images in a more aesthetic way rather than just putting a screenshots. You can put something like this and mention what is your design thinking process and how it helped the company or users to improve their product, or if it is a product that already existed, you can tell that what are the statistics that help it to improve by using your design. And you can put about me section without your skills and experience and what are the tools that you are using and so on. And also you can give them a link to download your CV and all the products that you worked on. Is that clear?
So
Hello? Yeah.
will you explain how to create a portfolio in future for
Yeah,
us?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So have you done any UX projects before?
No, sir.
Okay. So in that case, you have to actually in the end of this certificate course, we are doing one capstone project. So you can put that. And other than that, you can find different UX issues and try to find solutions your own and put them on your portfolio as well. So yeah, we will guide you through that design process, like creating a portfolio.
Okay, sir.
Any questions? Okay, please follow figma.com and create an account. And when everyone is ready, please send a message in group chat saying like something like Figma is created or something. I'm ready or any message. And I will start the session in 10 minutes. Hello. I will send you a link on group chat. Please click and join that link I just pasted. Only Kalana has joined up until now.
So I didn't receive the link.
On Zoom chat?
No, sir.
Let me. Okay. Have you received it now?
Yes.
Okay, I think everyone is here. So, has anyone used Figma before? Chamod?
No, sir.
Okay. How about Fatima?
No, sir.
Okay. Kalana?
Yes, I already using Figma.
Okay. And Madhushani?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I already used it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You two, like Kalana and Madhushani, please give me a few minutes. I will describe this to other two, the layout and everything. So the Figma is actually a most used UI and UX design tool these days. The one advantage of it is cloud-based, and you can collaborate with fellow designers and developers with it as well. And also it will give this developer options, like when a designer design it, it will auto-generate the code for the HTML and CSS, and even if you install plugins, it will create you React elements and components as well. So we are using React, we are using Figma in this course. So in here we have the home screen where you have all your projects and all your teams. So I have created this product and added all of you to the same project. So in here, if you switch this off, we have layers and assets and pages. So let's go to pages. Let's say this is day 1, and I have only the free plan for the class. So it will only allow me to add 3 pages max. So I only add 1 page. Here we all the layers will display here, and the assets, if we create components, it will display here. And in this section we have, if you go through it, you will get to know that we can create new file, save local, all the information will be there, and edit. I invite you to go through these after the lecture, so it will save our time. And edit, object, arrange. So we will use all these objects to create something today. So actually today is only for the introduction session, but we were able to complete the presentation earlier, so I thought of introduce you to the Figma. So I think everyone is okay with that, rather than going through the slides and the theory. We always need a practical knowledge as a designer, so it will help all of you, even you have experience or don't have it. The first thing we need to do to start off with the design is we need to create a frame. So when we click on the frame button, it will show us all the options, all the frame options we have. We have options for phone, tablet, desktop. These are like predefined frame sizes where we can select any frame size. Let's select desktop. And these are the screen sizes. We can add, we can like create any custom size screen, but let's select MacBook Air. So it will create this frame for our design. So the properties of the screen will be displayed on right hand side. So it width is 1280 and height is 832. And we have options called auto layout, layout grid, layer, and layer properties with stroke, effects, and export. So let's put a layout grid. So most of the designs, the web design, especially the designers do, we create a grid. So grid is something like this. So it will easy for the designers to place their elements and do their designs easily. So it will improve the consistency, and it will help users to do their design faster and align their designs accordingly. Like if you create a one button, you can create another and align it based on the grid layout as well. So let's create let's create 12 column layout with a gutter of 8. It is if you have used Photoshop or any other application, you might be familiar with the grid layouts and how to put grids in your layout. So let's, okay. The one thing when you're doing a responsive design, you have to always start by using a frame. So if you use a rectangle, for example, let's use a rectangle object, and I will hide the column for a minute, like grid line. So rectangle, it will be like this. But if you put a frame, it will give you more options, like you can auto layout it, and you can align it like constraint and so on. So let's forget about the basic shapes here. You have basic shapes, rectangle, line arrow, ellipse, and so on. You can either place an image or anything. So if you're creating a logo or anything like that, you can use those shapes. But in order to do our UX design or a UI design, we are using shapes. So one thing you can do is you can create a shape, and let's see, let's change the color of it. Okay, create a shape and add your elements in it. Or you can, but another thing you can do is you can just create your elements first and click on it and click frame selection. So it will make it a frame. So you can have these options enabled for that screen as well. So we will follow the first one for the first lecture. So let's say now this is the web page that we want to create. So if we select the prototype, it will show you the blank page as well. So this is where we can see the prototype of our application, where we can present it to client or anyone. Okay, now as you can see, all the users of the current application is displayed on right hand side top. So it is, as I said earlier, it is a collaborative tool. So everyone here, you can see everyone's mouse moving, what everyone is interacting with. So it is collaborative, and you can work on a project. Multiple users can work on the same project easily. Okay, now let's start by creating a small website. So let's Google for a basic website mockup. I will take a real basic one for the introduction lesson. Okay, let's take this part only. And what you can do is, if you want, like when we are doing design, we get inspiration from different designs. What you can do is you can copy that design and paste it here. So you don't have to go back and forth to the browser and see what it is about. So the first thing we have to do is we have to create the navigation bar and the typography and everything. So if we start with like there's a design principle called atomic design principle. In atomic design principle, you can create atoms, which is the smallest elements of the object. For example, it can be a text or a button and so on. Like I will introduce it to you when we are discussing about it. But if we follow atomic, it will be easier for designers as well as developers, because we can create reusable elements in atomic design, which is called atoms as well as elements, and finally the species. Species is the final output, whereas the atoms is the smallest one, and we have molecules where we can use atoms to create buttons, graphic elements, and so on. So let's start with creating a navigation bar. So in here, I will not go into atomic design right now. I will just go through the design and create a layout like this. Actually, you can, let me create boards for all of you. The first board is for Chamod. The second one is for Fatima. Third one is for Kalana. The final one is for Madhushan. Okay. Okay. I have created 4 boards for 4 of you. So you can try to do the design real time while I doing it on my board. I think it will be clear if I move it here. So this is the design inspiration we are following for this. We are not actually right now we are copying it, but don't copy when you are actually design. I just wanted to show the workarounds of the application. So if it's, let's start with the logo and the header and the navigation. So what we first do is we will create another frame for the navigation. So make sure you create it inside your artboard already created, and we will change the color for the better weave. So let's use this color. Can everyone replicate my action? Make sure its width is 280 and the height is let's say 120.
Sir, can you please explain it again?
Yeah. Go to your frames, like you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go to frames and click on frames, and it will give you this kind of icon where you can draw your frame. So go to a page called Chamod. I think this is Chamod who is talking. So Chamod, and draw your navigation bar on it. Let me show it to you on your board. So this is the way. Can you repeat it? Is it clear? Okay, okay. Now give it a background color of anything you like. Click on that frame you just created, and then give it the fill color on your right hand side. Okay. Now everyone has, this should be 120. I will change it, and here also. Okay, everything is good. Chamod, the height should be 120, so you have to change it from here. On right hand side pane, the width is 180, height should be 120. Okay, cool. Okay, now we have created the navigation bar frame only. So let's rename that frame name to call menu, like I did. Go to your left hand side pane where you have your frames, and double click on the frame name and rename it called menu, like this. Okay, cool. All right, always make sure you put the namings first, otherwise it will be hard when the other things are coming to your screen. It will be hard to differentiate for you and your fellow designers or developers. And even if you complete it without screen names, it is okay, but it will be really hard for new designer or even for you to rename them in the end. So always make sure you rename it first. The first thing is done. Now we are going to create the logo as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 navigation icons. So let's create the logo first. So for the logo, I will just put Acme in text here and make the font size 20 and bold. Let's do 28 and bold. Make sure you click on the navigation and put your text there, not anywhere else. Madhushani is done. Madhushani, can you center, like vertically center your logo? Okay, in order to center it vertically, the thing you have to do is you first have to select your logo. Let's say it is not vertically centered right now. It is like this. Select your logo, and on your right hand side top, you have align vertical centers button. If you can see my screen, you will be able to see it, and press on it. It will center vertically. The color is done, and Madhushan is good. Shamad is good. Fatima, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want you to put that logo text inside the navigation. So you can drag it and drop it in the navigation. Yeah, like that. And click on the logo again, the text, double click. In order to go inside of that element, you have to double click on it. Double click on the logo like that. Yeah. Okay. So on your right hand side top, there's a button called Align Vertical Centers. Click on that. In the design pane, right hand side pane, top. If you see my screen, you can see I'm hovering over it right now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, good. Now we have to put it inside a frame. So I told you earlier how to put it inside a frame. You can right click on it and frame selection. You can follow keyboard shortcuts, but I want to show it to you. So I will click on this frame selection and give it a name, logo. Kalina, don't group it, just frame it. You can undo it and read it. Okay, Madhushani is good. Chamod. Okay. Fatima. Fatima, can you rename your frame 1 to logo on your left-hand side pane? This one. Fatima, can you see layers pane on your
So I
left-hand side?
already renamed it, but it didn't show on your screen.
Okay. Okay. Let me rename it from my end. Okay. Okay, now we have the logo and the navigation bar. The next thing we are going to do is we're going to create these links, inspiration, shop, resources, about us, and contact. So in order to do that, we first have to create another text box, like text layout. I will call first one inspiration, and again frame selection, and name it link. Make sure you vertically align it to the middle of the navigation bar. Okay, inspiration is done, and frame it and call it a link. And then let's change the font to regular. Font weight should be regular. And again, on the type setting under text, we need to make it bold. So click on these 3 arrows and change case to uppercase, like I just did.
So can you repeat it again?
Yeah. So let me select your text first, and then go to this text properties and click on this icon on right hand side top. You can see it, right? And then these three buttons, I'm sorry, these three buttons and the button which represent more. So, and then select uppercase from here. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Let me do, okay. This button and uppercase. Okay, I can see Chamad, you have to make it uppercase, and also Fatima, you have to make it uppercase. Okay, Chamad,
So can you please repeat it again?
yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, click on your text like this, and it will give you these text options. So click on these three arrows, and it will give you this option called uppercase. Click on it. Do that now. Everyone else is ready.
I don't see a text option.
Okay, can you double click on your inspiration text? Double click again. Can you see now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Uppercase. Okay, cool. All right. Now we have created one navigation element. So we need to create, like we need to duplicate it 4 times. So what we can do is you can press on this link and paste it. So I normally do keyboard shortcuts, but in order to show you, I will do copy, paste, paste, paste 4 times. Okay. So we can create like different frames for each of these, but copy and pasting is easy because you can follow the same properties in your first element to other navigation elements as well. So make sure you copy paste it rather than typing it all together. Okay, after you copy and pasted them, select all those links you just created. You can select by, if you follow my screen, you can see it. Go to your left-hand side window and click the first item and press your shift key and press the last icon. Go here, press shift, press the first item, shift, and the last item. Now we are going to frame, yes.
Can you check my screen? So I cannot see.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
Madhushani.
Madhushan. Okay. Yeah, I can see your screen. Have you pasted them? Okay. We need 2 more links. Can you paste them?
Sorry?
Okay. We need 5 links total. So can you paste 2 more?
Okay.
Okay, now on your left hand side, let's see from the beginning. Okay, Shamod, can you select all those links on your board from left hand side menu and frame them again and name it as menu, like name them as main. I'm sorry. Madhushani. Okay, Madhushani, can you also select all links from your left hand side pane like I just did? And right click, frame selection, and name them as main. And see, Kalana has already done. Oh, Kalana, can you hear me? Hello? Kalana, are you there?
Yes.
Kalana, you have to put like everyone else has done. You just add text element, but you have to put it inside a frame. That is why I asked to copy and paste the frame. It will give you a responsive layout rather than pasting the text element. Can you see what everyone else is doing? You can
Yes.
check it from left hand side pane. Even if you go to Madhushani's menu item, you can see 3 link items. Everyone else is like that. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed it.
Okay.
So can you check my?
Yeah.
I
This
think
is
there is
this,
a one frame one, another frame one also here.
okay. I'm sorry. Who is this?
Shahana.
Shahan. Okay. Let's reduce your size. Inspiration. Okay. Here again, Pita, you have to put it inside frames. Let's delete all these. The thing you have to do is you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now when you go to the logo, this is menu. Go to your menu and then type inspiration here. Inspiration and make it uppercase. Okay, and then we have to put this inside the frame. Frame selection, we call it a link, and then we copy and paste it 4 more times. Three, so 2 times, 3, 4. And then select all those things from your left hand side pane, and we are going to frame them again. called main. Let's keep it like that. Madhushani, is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Now put those 3 links inside another frame and name it as main. Fatima, I did that already. You saw what I did, right? Selected these 3 links. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just clicked on your link item and I selected those 4 links and frame selection and renamed it to main. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. You will get these recordings in the end of the lecture so you can follow it easily, even if you're in a doubt. So let's say color is good. Samod is good.
But sir, why those inspiration frames are not displaying here?
Yeah, I will go to next that step later. I also have the same thing. You can fix it automatically.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Madhushani, can you put those 4 links inside? Okay. Another frame called main. Okay, cool. Now show my screen. I will show my screen. So select main object from your left hand side pane and go to auto layout option here on right hand side. Click on auto layout. I will redo what I just did. I selected the main frame and go to auto layout. Is everyone following me? Okay. Madhushan is good. Fatima, click on your main layout and go to press on auto layout on your right hand side.
Okay.
Have you pressed it?
Yes.
I can't see any changes on your screen. Can you follow my screen? Can you see my screen first?
Yes.
Okay,
I can see.
Okay, I will spotlight. Okay, you have to select main from left hand side pane and go to here and go to auto layout. Press on it. Okay. Okay, and then it will look like this. Then you have to select horizontal layout like I just did. We can design the same thing. Okay, Kalana has already done. Chamud, why do you have so many? The auto layout is done. Inspiration. Link. We will fix that later. Okay. Fatima is already done. Madhushani?
Sir, I didn't hear.
Okay. Select the main frame on your menu bar. So I have already selected it. And can you see the auto layout section on right hand side?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to click on horizontal layout in order to make them horizontally.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, now you can see that there are overflowing text. In order to fix that, what we can do is we can give a padding or a vertical padding for each those. The first thing we can do is we can give horizontal gap between those items. Let's give it 8. It won't do the overflowing issue fixed. Let's give it 20. Okay, same thing. If we give it 40, so it is fixing. So make sure you select it, and in the auto layout section there's an option called horizontal gap between items. If you can see my screen, you can I have highlighted it. Give it a value of 40. Okay, let's change all these texts to their correct names. You can select the text on top navigation bar and double click on whatever the text you want to change and rename it shop. And the third one to resources. And then about us. Finally contact. Okay, now we have changed the menu elements. Everything. Now we know that every text have different sizes, different text length. So you don't have to mention the fixed value there. You can just put auto, so it will automatically adjust it according to your input.
So I only have 4 frames.
Yeah, this is Madhushani, right?
No, Shahana.
Shahani, okay. Only have 4 frames. Okay, this is all right. Now you have to do the thing that I have just mentioned. On your right hand side, auto layout, the place we put the value 40, make it auto, type auto. Instead of 40, type auto. Okay, press enter.
Okay.
Okay. Now, all right. That is done. Shamod, is it clear?
Yeah, I did it, sir, but the spacings are different.
Yeah, we can fix that.
So I only have 4 navigations.
Yeah, inspiration, resources. Okay, inspiration. shop, resources, about us, contact. So in order to put fifth one, we copy and paste the new one and we make it contact. Can you rename it as contact? The last one. But I think you have selected Eclipse object. So that is fine. One thing you have to do is you have to copy. It is already pasted. You have to just have to type now inside that. Let me paste again. 1 second. Okay. Okay, now type contact, type C. Double click. Double click again.
Mm.
Okay, now type. Fatima, can you follow my screen, what I'm doing? Here, we are double click on this and it will select a menu frame. And again, we are clicking, it will select link, but we need to go inside. We click again. You don't. Okay, I think you have selected.
So it's
Okay.
it won't
Yeah.
allow me to type.
Yeah. Give me a second. Okay. Now you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So I think you have selected an shape from the shape tools. So that is why this is happening. You have to press on this icon, the highlighted blue color highlighted move icon.
Yes.
Click on that.
Okay.
Okay. Or you can click on text, but let's click on move icon. So double click. Now we are inside link. Click again. Now we are inside C. If you double click, it will select the text. Is it clear? Okay, correct. Now you can rename it. Okay, great. And now everyone else have done what I already asked. Karan is good, Madhushan good. Samant. Okay. Now the next thing we are going to do is okay, so can you the place we put like 40 in auto layout, can you make it auto, everyone?
So can you do it again?
Yeah. Now when we click on this and select main layout, the main frame. So in here we have option called horizontal gap between items. Select auto or type auto. Okay. So now if you select that, so we need to make it responsive. So right now it's not responsive. So in order to make it responsive, let's let me once again go through everyone's. Okay, auto fixed. Okay, good. Now the menu bar is done. You can like make changes and make it more nice when you have time after the lecture. So right now I'm just trying to give you understanding about how to create responsive and like component wise layouts in Figma. So after that, can you type like this? Can you do this part? So in order to do this part, what we can do is we can create one frame for this and another frame for this, and 50% of the screen should be text and other 50 should be the right hand side part. So let's create a frame like this. And inside that we are creating another frame. So let's call the first frame hero. Second one, let's call this left. We'll give a different color. So the first large element, hero element, which should be 1280, the height should be 400. give those two boxes, not the main frame, the main other two boxes inside it, two different colors. Fatima, can you
So I have missed that part.
yeah,
Got
I'm sorry.
disconnected.
Okay. So the thing here is, let me do it again on my screen. Can you see my frame?
Yes.
Okay. Now draw a frame like this and give it a height of 400, and which should be always 1 to 80 if it is a full screen, and name it as hero. And inside that we need two more elements, like to accompany this and this one. So we create another two frames inside hero. So hero should be outside the menu. So hero and menu. So let's put menu on top because it is on top, and we have hero here. Let's copy this one and call it left and put it inside hero by dragging and dropping into hero. It's like you copying and pasting folders. You just can drag and drop inside whatever the main element, main frame, it will become a child frame of that. So in order to make it half, what we can do is we can just type 640 if you are sure, but I always do is I type divide it by 2. So it will automatically create it as half size of the frame. So give it a color, different color than your other elements. I will select this and we paste another one. So copy and paste another one, and we will call it right, and we Okay. Okay, Fatima, you created the main frame, so the height should be 400. Change it to 400. Okay, now change the name of the frame to hero on your left-hand side pane. So I'm just telling you the framing and name conversions only in the beginning, but you have to automatically, that should automatically come to your mind whenever you are doing a responsive design next time, a mobile application or anything. So 400, and then we need to separate like two divisions like this. So in order to do that, you have to create two more elements inside this hero frame. Can you do that? One is good. Kalana is good. Chamod is good. Fatima, one thing that we follow in design, we create reusable elements. Now you already have created one element, but you don't have to create another like from the beginning. You can copy the same element you created from hero and like reduce its size. Right now, can I show it to you how to do it?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now let's select your hero element here. Now its width is 1280, height is 400. What you can do is you can copy and paste, paste here, and it will give you another hero element. So now the pasted one is here. Now let's rename it's as left because we are going to put it on left side, and the width should be half of the size. So we divide this by 2, it will give us 640. So let's give it a different fill color so we can see it on screen. Oh, okay. So we can drag it and drop here so it covers the left side of the screen. So now hero has one child element called left, and we need another child element. We call it right, and we give it a different color. So let's give it this color. So in order to put it in rightmost side, we can select align right. So it will create this. Is it clear? You can follow the recording and do it to your own after the call. If you have any questions, you can ask me through WhatsApp chat, group chat. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So actually the time is up for today. So I hope that you got an understanding about the introduction to UX, and we started little bit on Figma as well. I invite you to go through all these tools and elements and complete this design up until here. The section I'm showing you, you don't have to create any of these color coding or anything. Just create this part. You don't have to like copy the same design. You can use your own imagination and come up with a better design, but follow the same structure and hierarchy that represent. You can add more elements if you like, but this part, at least this part should be there. Is it clear? Chamod?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions,
No, sir.
Chamod?
No,
Okay. If you have anything, you can send me a message on group chat or text message on WhatsApp. Okay.
sir. Okay.
Okay. Let's ask Kalana. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Please try to complete this part I mentioned so we can take it from there next week. And Madhushani, how about you?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. Okay. And Fatima, I think that you were not there during the final part of the call. So that is why you missed the part that others just covered. So if you have any questions, you can just send me a message. I will answer anything if you have. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So apart from this, regarding the program or anything, if you have any question, ask in the Zoom chat. So I will add the presentation recording as well as the documentation and presentation slides to Google Drive as well. So you will be able to follow those, and let's meet up next week then. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.